Well, hello and good morning. Fantastic, This little room, it seems there's more people in here than there's supposed to, but there's a few seats down here if you need a seat. My name is David Probst, and first of all, thank you very much for coming here, not just for this presentation, but for the whole conference. I know the investments in time and money is substantial. Today we're going to talk about the manufacturing execution and time and attendance. It was good that you actually saw the program, so you should read shop floor controls somewhere in here. There is a legacy we're building on top of, but we renamed those modules, and I'll get a lot more into that. Just a few practical things. You're more than welcome to interrupt and ask questions along the way. I hope that I will be covering what your questions will be during the duration of it, so there will also be some time afterwards. If you have questions, I have a couple of my colleagues standing, and they would very much like to hand a microphone to you, just so microphones can pick it up, so the recordings for you and your colleagues can also pick up what you're asking. So you've seen this already. I know you're tired of this, and actually, I have a personal thing that I like these disclaimers. I'm always looking for the place that I'm signing off my daughter or something like that. This one doesn't seem to include that specific one. It just says, I can tell you whatever I want, and it might be a complete lie. Yeah, that's it. So it can brew coffee. It can do amazing stuff. I'll try to be as honest as I can. I work in development, so I'm all about making features, not really selling it so very much. So it will be honesty. I hope not to anyone's of my managers. They will like me less for that. Well, please review it at your leisure later on. It's with very small letters down there. Today I want to show you, in essence, this is not a complete feature. I want to show you features, as much as possible as we can cram in it. Unfortunately, we only have 60 minutes, 15 minutes for questions, so it will be mainly, I can show you a form and kind of describe some of the main features in here. I will not be able to really take you through a full training here. Some of the new things will be job registration form, it will be prioritization assignments, etc. Somewhat along the way, we'll talk a little bit about the value proposition that what we hope to bring with the time and attendance and manufacturing execution modules, as well as presenting some of those scenarios that we think we're enhancing with those features. It's kind of it's a path forward, and I think we made good strides in doing these things. You may disagree or agree with me, and then we'll take that in the Q&A. Good. It's all about people, especially these areas. So this is my two favorite people in the whole world. And I'm just saying that because when I started working on this, it was kind of a surprise. I just remembered my old days. My father used to be this guy. This is not his picture. This is not his name. But it was still, I could relate to him. I forgot the note that's saying, one of the pains is raising a son. But I was the Shannon. She's a whole lot more prettier than I am, but I understand her pains, at least for the time that I was working heavy, dangerous equipment in the age of 14. That's a good thing, I find out later on, I'll suddenly learn something I can use later in life. Shannon, so she's all about producing stuff. She will definitely tell you that she is the center of a whole enterprise, She is where everything meets the reality, and we actually produce stuff that we can sell. She's also very much not an ERP user. Rather the contrary, there's a blue-collar term. That's definitely what she's wearing. She will just not be interested in all the intricacies of how is this little process going. She'll just tell me, okay, tell me what to do, as quick and fast as possible. And also a little bit, I remember also from my days, I didn't do it for the company's sake. I did it because there was a paycheck at the end of it. So it is very much, okay, please respect my breaks, and I'm leaving at 4 p.m. Thank you. So that might not go for all Shannons. Sorry about that. easy and relevant system information. It is about pushing out information just specifically tailored to her. Let's forget about some of the things that we know about the white-collar workers sitting in the back office. Really focus on her needs in as quickly as possible, send her back on the floor to do her job. Now, Lars is somewhat of a Shannon. It depends on the company. Some companies will say, well, it is just a Shannon with a few more years of experience who can help him, her colleagues. Some of the pains that Lars is facing is that, well, there's a lot of information going on, and he needs to interact with the back office. He needs to know what's going on in order to plan the staff he has of Shannons. He spends too much time in the office, and I'm saying that because, well, he's not productive there. He needs to be out there with his people, helping them, assisting them, because he is more experienced than they are. We need to have him taken away from that. Let's stop having him an office for Lars. He needs fast access to information, just as Shannon does. You know, if we can have the terminal standing out there among the people, that would be the best thing. Ability to quickly react to a situation. You all know, okay, suddenly someone starts screaming and we're not delivering on promise, etc., etc. Well, he needs to be out there and reshuffle the jobs. It doesn't matter, okay, I know this is a priority, but this is even more of a priority, and we'll just pull people around quickly. We have to react fast in this world. So in the whole process diagram, manufacturing execution and time and attendance, it's a relatively small world. And I'm a little bit afraid that I'm talking way too much about the production. Yes, the modules we're coming from definitely is focusing on the production here. We do have time and attendance, and one of the main reasons for doing this is that time and attendance is used in so many other places than just the production floor. We really want to tell you that time and attendance can be used, well, retail, it can be used in warehouse, distribution, all other industries. Professional services is definitely using it. They might require some more, especially focusing on project. We have that, but I'll tell more about that. Other jobs I had was warehouse work, and that was where I remember to stamp in and out, and how to forget it, and etc., etc. All these things we covered, and we already covered for a number of years, just for other industries and just purely production. But during the majority of this presentation, I will just talk about the production core flow as we have it right now. So we still have Lars and Shannon, and their little part of the world is that, for example, someone like Eduardo now released the production order. There's a whole lot of history about why we're producing this, who we're producing to, all this stuff. Lars and Shannon don't care about that. They care about the job they're doing. Lars will come in early. Perhaps he's doing it the day before, and he kind of see, okay, what's up for tomorrow. He might be doing this depending on the drum beat or the beat of the company, and they're saying, okay, we shuffle these jobs around. He knows within this week that we'll probably seeing these production orders. He definitely has some discretion within that beat of what goes first. We're going to focus on that. Then we'll go down and look a lot on the execution, and that is really, showing you an ERP system. It is about doing the job, so it's as quickly as possible. I can click in and out. I'm out doing my job again. Yeah, I was 14 or something like that. I made mistakes doing all this. So there is some post-control, and I'll also show you a little bit about that. Yes, I messed up. I entered 200 instead of 20, and Lars had to come in and help me. So again, we'll show that. So this is just some of the features I'm going to show you today. Job assignments, which Shannon is going to do these jobs. It's job prioritization. Yes, there's 100, 200, 20. It doesn't matter. It's just the order of which one does this come in during your day. Then we get down to the Shannon task. Really, a lot of the effort we've done right now is with the job registration form. This is where it's the primary only interface for Shannon, that she can see the jobs that's up for today's work. She gets all the information about her situation, about the job situation, how is she going to do it, etc. information about that includes document handling, so I'll show you a little bit about document handling. And then once Shannon perhaps messes up and enters 200 instead of 20, we get back to the control, just be able to change some of the registrations that has been made by Shannon. Show a little bit about the workflow within. And then once everything is hopefully correctly entered into the system, we push it further on into the system. I'm not going to show anything about that. We start selling it to customers. We have all the warehouse delivery, etc. So that is the feature list we've been working with. So we have touch enabled, and I'll definitely try to show you that. It's a little bit hard with the setup we have here, but fortunately touch and a mouse click is pretty much the same, but you'll see how that works. Individual job assignments, I'll change the feedback that Shannon has entered. I also do a lot of the advanced setup around the registration form, prioritization, documents, workflow, improve usability. I'll get back to that at the very end. So components in action today, kind of the core scenarios I'm going to talk about. Well, we are in the industry of manufacturing. And that's really, especially for the time and attendance piece, it doesn't really hold true. But I'll talk about that. Then we have the horizontal applications. The time and attendance and manufacturing execution modules very much integrated. Integrates to a lot of modules. Integration is wrong, it's within the same product. But we pick up data across these licenses, feature areas. Supply chain, inventory, payroll is some of the main areas, reference data. And I really wanted to say that we definitely extended distribution and retail, service sector and public sector, obviously they will use this in certain instances. Projects, we had a project integration for many years, and this is just thinking that, okay, what they're doing on a production floor, well, a production order is very, 200 of this item, but it might as well be, let's say, a shop floor that are building houses. So it's a whole project of building a house. We ship it out, install it somewhere, and so Shannon is just reporting time against a big project like producing a house. So quickly, time and attendance, focus around that, and just where do we get our data? Obviously, some of the setup things we're doing, we pick up the workers from the human resources, make sure they're in the system, and what we push back is primarily attendance. It is seriously important, of course, to know we have 1,000 Shannons, so having to pay them by the hour, if we can, don't have to pay them for when they're not there, it's definitely a benefit for the whole company, and they will be upset if they're not getting paid for the time that they are actually there. We are, with all the new resources that you hopefully saw yesterday, we're definitely using those within the system. Just a matter of saying, okay, what is a resource? Shannon is, as a person working on a machine, she is a resource in herself and all these things. So we're using the resources. Then comes in the standard production. We don't want to know a lot about production orders until that it gets released into the production floor through job routes. And once everything is done, we essentially is a pushing mechanism into production. So we post them through the journals. And those journals are not really meant for Shannon. Yes, in scenarios where, let's say, you print out the job cards, you will have someone else sitting there filling in those journals. So really the benefit is you don't have a lot of manual work entering in manual data from Shannon into the system. You can have Shannon do all this herself. Inventory. Obviously, we're producing items and we're using items, so that information is very critical. And then we get more into the construction aspects of this. So we have projects, all the projects that are in process, I can start reporting my time on. And that might be relevant for some companies. It's definitely not relevant for all companies. And it's the same concept as with the production. Well, it is time that we're spending, and we enter it through our journals. Those are not meant for Shannon's use, so let's jump this step of having someone to sit there and manually typing in pieces of paper from the production floor. At the end of all this day, a lot of data has gone back and forth, been posted. Some of it might be directly relevant to the production process, the project. A lot of it might not be. You know, this is just, they were just waiting until they could pick up the next production order. Delivery was delayed, etc. So they have a lot of waiting, or they're cleaning, doing indirect activities, as we're calling them. Business term, just saying, well, not something relevant for any of the core processes. We can take those as well, and the cost of those getting into general ledger. Of course, projects, production, etc. feeds back into general ledger as well. It is the place that we end up. Now, again, I remember my days as Shannon. This is the most important thing. We do have a full, not a payroll module as such, but a payroll feeder. It is a matter of making pay items. So we have set up that whenever she's working on this specific job, we might give her a bonus. Whenever she's coming in late, well, she's not getting paid for that. Well, she might get it because she got approval, it was a doctor's visit, etc. All these many things is known within the time and attendance module. And it's therefore, we say, our role to bring it into a payroll system. It stops where it's saying, okay, now we have the union rules, now we have the taxations, now we have the special this and this, all that stuff. This is just about the hardcore production jobs. And so the whole blue box of payroll does not exist. It is an external system. Or for North American customers, it might be the now built system.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Didn't see any mention of Kanban or leans there. Is that just implicit in production?
Yeah. I'll just repeat the question just for there was no mention of Kanban and lean, and no, we do not use the Kanban and lean concept. You can say they have their own system. We're using the same resources, and there's underlying structure here. But there is no lean. We're not reporting against Kanban and leans within the license keys, the feature areas I'm talking about today.
How about batch orders, which is the process?
Yes.
You're only working with production orders,
yes.
I assume, which is how it works today.
Yes. The question was batch orders. How is the? Yes, we are taking those in. I'm not going to talk about them today. There will be a session, 2 sessions tomorrow on process industry. So please follow that. They have a lot about the integration there.
But it does work with batch orders.
Yes. You know, we should have the. Okay. Yeah, there was a question here.
Any hope for a payroll module in a future release?
Sorry, a payroll.
Instead of a payroll feature, a full payroll? Any project for a full payroll?
So yeah, the question was whether there is a hope for a full payroll system. Well, we do have the North American payroll system coming out with AX 2012. I'm not so familiar with it, and I don't know whether we don't have plans 2012, and I can definitely not promise for future releases on doing this. All those things. The disclaimer was just about this release. You know, next version is definitely still. But give us your feedback, you know, if you want those things, you know, talk especially to the payroll team, which we do have. Good. So, product demos. I will hoping to get to 3 product demos. Most of my time I will be spending with the first one, time attendance, all up. I'll just try and take us through the whole core flow, production floor. Once doing that, you will have a lot of questions about all this stuff that you just showed. I don't need that. You know, how can I make this more relevant for my company? I don't need to see projects. I don't need to see that you can start and stop a lot of quantities because I might be a production floor that I only work one item at a piece, etc. All these things. So we're going to show a lot about the setup. Primarily of the setup of terminals. Now, the last demo was a little bit, so this is a developer conference, so we were encouraged to try and make it a little bit technical. It was a little bit, I wanted to show you a lot of code, a lot of the table changes, etc., but we simply didn't have time. Just show very quickly some of the transactions, some of the jobs, the main underlying tables. It will be less geeky than what was required of me, but we'll hopefully show you some of the transactions that go underneath all the things I've been showing you in demo 1 and 2. And I apologize for those more interested in, say, the classes that we definitely rebuild, all the tables that we rebuild underneath the hood. It will not be in this presentation. Good. So let me start out with my first demo, time and attendance, all up. I'll try and do prioritization and assignment of jobs. I'll do start updates. Shannon gets in there. And I'll update some erroneous job entries. Why can't Shannon ever do her job correctly, or me do it correctly? I'll probably need that. Good. So I can start out saying the first thing is that there is no one tab called shop floor control anymore, of course. There is nothing called manufacturing execution and nothing time attendance. All the features, both new and old, exist within the production control for the manufacturing execution, and time and attendance under human resources. So let's just start out by getting in with Lars's first task of the day. He's sitting and saying, okay, what's going on today? His focus might be, let's say, I just want to see the whole production floor. It's a small job. I only have about 20 jobs a day or something like that. Or he might be seeing, for a subset of machines, a subset of people, all depending on your resource model. In this case, let's pick out and saying he is interested in the groups of punching machines. And he just see what's assigned to those punching machines. So this is where his day start. He can see, okay, this is what's open. Some might be in process and people are working on it, as this case. And now it's, in this case, relatively simple. There's 12 jobs. What's more important than others? What should we start out with? What should we do at the end of the day? It doesn't matter if it's slip in until tomorrow. Notice a little bit vaguely there is a select column, so I can select the jobs that I want to work against. I can then start moving them up and down. I can also specifically say I want to move them to a specific line. The job line on line 100 is now have to move to line 1. And once I think my day is put down to correctly, I'll submit that sequence, and it's now available out on the terminals for Shannon. Now, I might also say, okay, well, this thing is just, we have to do it, and it has to be done as quickly as possible. Essentially, I want to force Shannon. She cannot select any other job. I'll make that a high priority. And it means, yeah, as does, if you try to do anything else, you have to work on this. I'll just remove that as well. Now, again, this was just the punching machines. Now I was looking at a group. I might, assign it to parts of this group. If the whole group was, let's say, all my Shannons, well, I now sit and split it out among my Shannons. So that means that all the terminals, once they start up, what they're showing you is not the list for, say, the punching machines. They will show you the list assigned to me. So I'll be sitting in here and saying, I'll move to, should I have this machine? I'll move to the resources that I'm allowed to. Single punching machine 1 and 2. It's very, very simple setup here. Some of the information already available. It's just the capacity load, all those kind of things. I still have that. So let me just take this one. My group of, it's not super interesting, especially because I think I have full capacity. But let me take a few days more. Which brings us into the weekend. And I just see, okay, how can I shift this around within my flow? You can do all kinds of manipulation on this one, seeing number of resources on the X, Y axis, Z axis, etc. See it in all nice of graphical ways. But also, again, I can get into all this information directly from in here. Let's see, I want some additional information on my production orders. I just click on the production orders. I can see the materials, okay, what's available, have they reserved, etc. And get more details. So this will hopefully be the interface for Lars sitting down and working and making sure that his people, his groups of areas of the production flow is working effectively. Fantastic, he's done that. Submit the sequence. Let's get the work day started. Yes, there was a question.
If you job schedule that and there's times on the production group, does that change the times, or are you rescheduling outside of that?
Yeah, so the question was whether there's rescheduling. No, it doesn't. Well, things are scheduled down to within this in this beat or drum roll. So there's no rescheduling here. We're still setting the when it should be done from to in here. There was down in the O pane, you could see some of the dates when the job should be done. So the information is available. Yes, there's.
In your example, you assigned certain things from the job list to certain resources. Can you assign them to like a resource group, or is that like the natural view then that we were seeing just within one resource group?
Yeah. So the question was, well, you can assign it to a group rather than an individual resource, and actually. No. Right now, you are assigning specific to one resource. And it's, yeah, I'm in development and I hate to lie. It is, I wanted to do more, but there is some of the capabilities we're not taking in. So let's say without that, let's completely move it out of my resource group. That you have to go to the production orders and do some rescheduling there. You just, within here, change it within the resource group. There's a question here.
There was one PowerPoint that you showed that Eduardo released those production orders after it landed. And then there's this guy, Lars, that's going to go detail planning. I thought it was not supposed to, we're not able to reschedule after production has been released. That's something new. Like job scheduling and operation scheduling can be done only before releasing.
No, you can reschedule it again. So yeah, the question was, well, you can reschedule once it's been released, and yes, certainly you can. It will, and it doesn't tell Lars that suddenly a lot of things. We do have a feature saying, okay, well, we risk people are working on it right now because we will stop those people working on it and move the jobs around.
Not only that, but there needs to be time fences where the production manager freezes the schedule and the planner cannot play with it anymore.
Yeah. The last doesn't change from a timing perspective. He changed from a prioritization, which one goes first. He doesn't move it around time-wise.
Okay. The customer delivery date has to be fixed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He can't go in and change those data. Also, of course, set up your security right. Lars is not exactly the man meant to change the delivery plan. Wow, we also have time after the Q&A, but okay, well, let's take one here.
Yeah, you show changing from one resource to another. There were some presentations yesterday that talked about the capabilities of resources, and you can have different resources within a resource group that have different capabilities. Does it restrict which resource you can change to based on those capabilities? See,
that's good. You already caught my embarrassment of before, and let's step in. No, there is, right now you just assign it to a resource. Yeah, and that's unfortunate. Give us the
you do an activity and it has to be assigned to a resource? What I'm asking is, when you schedule your production order, the jobs are all assigned as an activity specific to a resource, and is that the reason you can do that?
So the question was whether it's because if it's an activity. No, we should be able to do that. Yeah. Give us the feedback and we'll take it back. I don't promise we can manage to deliver it. Right now it was saying, okay, we cannot get to make this thing, so we do it within the resource group. So it's one last question, and that's, yeah.
This job list you're showing, does that only show like 1 day's or 1 shift's worth of?
Whatever your drum beat is, whatever's released to the production floor, it doesn't have a time fence.
Okay, so if you sequence things and you move something way down in the list and it ends up being the next day,
yes,
that doesn't change the schedule?
No. Okay. So we got to the scenario of Shannon is coming out on the production floor and she sees her job registration form. I'll just say that Lars has been there before and have started up the machine. So the terminal itself, it's a AX32 rich client showing this screen. Welcome. So you can get into it in a number of different ways. Well, so you can enter in her personnel number manually. It's a keyboard. You might also, let's say, have a barcode. And the first order for Shannon today is to decide why she's late. She is not meeting up at 9:15. So she is, was late for work is probably the most honest reason here. Thank you, she's successfully clocked in. Now, she sees the same list as we just saw before. Now, when I did a little pre-step, I chose what is the terminal set up to show. It might be showing all the jobs that's now available on the production floor. It might show just for a specific resource, as was this case. So she's actually walking up to a dedicated terminal, just showing the jobs available for the punching machine. She typically should start picking up from the top. Of course, that's the priority. But I think I removed the high priority, so she can do what she likes. But of course, certain discretion on the production floor. In here, you'll see a lot of actions, different tabs. And it's all about, okay, so getting the information to her. It's primarily around working with the job itself, getting, let's say I want to be looking at this thing, this job, and I want to see what's in here. Now, that's the information relevant for that specific. I didn't put in a production plan, but I think a koala, picture of a koala, at least I had the rights to show that, will hopefully give her some information about the production job that she is going to start. It might be anything, and those documents are coming from a variety of sources. Let's say we put in the production design on the item itself. We have some special requirements. We add that to the production order, to the job, to the route, etc. And all those will be brought down so she can pick them up. She might even be required to have read those documents before she can start working on the job. Now, just very, very quickly, okay, she's seeing these things, and she says, okay, I'll do this one and this one. I start it, say okay, and I'm back to work. That's it. She shouldn't, take more actions than that, other than what we force her into doing, saying, for example, review documentation. Now, Shannon might have a few additional interest in here. We could dedicate another terminal, or we could have the same terminal, for example, show her balances, means where am I standing right now, what is my day going to look like, what's the breaks, etc. What have I paid time, paid overtime. So you can do a lot of actions in here saying, I want to move the overtime to flex, from flex to overtime, how am I going to get paid, etc., etc. I want to see what I've been working on today, what I've been working on yesterday. She can switch around and see, okay, I'm not going to work in the production area. I'm going to see just the jobs assigned to me, unless the terminal had been set up already for that. Or I can go in and see the production division, all the projects that right now is available. She might go in, if we have set it up, can go in and see, okay, what is my team looking like today? So a few who's sick, and there's a lot of people who haven't shown up for work today. It's always nice information to be told. Of course, might not have been set up. We get to that in the setup phase. Okay. So C is right now starting on a few of the jobs, and at the end of this, C is stopping them as well. Stopped. And that means that, well, if she's not doing anything, we kind of expect her to continue working on something, so she might pick up something else. I want to work as a team, or I want to start working on this specific job. I want to start with 100 of these and say start. Shannon is back to her work. Now, that was the quick story of Shannon's work. Lars has a few more options in here. So he's still using the same terminals in order to do his task. It's again the whole point about keeping Lars away from the office. He can walk up to a terminal and at least get the most simple task done in here. So I'll pick up. Yes.
Continue. Could you show Shannon when she's working on one item and then she's finished that job and wants to start on the next one, how reporting the completion of jobs? You didn't do that?
Yes. So, yeah, sorry. The question was that that Shannon was finishing her job, and now she needed to report back on what she had done. And actually, the two jobs I had picked up was both jobs that were setup jobs. So there was no other feedback than it was stopped. There are four, but I'll get back to that. There are 3 buttons up here in a report feedback group, which I picked one just called stopped. So see, I skipped over the step of doing the feedback. But let's just take the 2 jobs that she's doing. And in this case, actually I did show this one. So in this case, there was one of them which was the quantity updates. We had 2 varieties in this, and I can show you that as well. But it is only the quantity that she's done. And she can overrule, for example, say, okay, I'm completing this job. If that's really true, then I've set it up so it can allow whatever you can say. You can set up a lot of parameters saying, okay, within certain, you're allowed to have some deviation from what's the planned quantity. In this case, it's a lot. And I say okay to that. And she has no more current activities. There is a variety on this. I'll start a job, and I'll go in again. Okay, I'll show you that a little bit later. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot. Once you mess with a configuration, make sure you do it with the right one. So there's a bit of variety in the way. This one has primarily been made in order for touch scenarios to work. Now I didn't only have one job that I'm reporting back on, but the top bar will, for example, show I'm reporting back on 5, so I'm walking through it next, and I can update the status and the quantity feedback. If I made any errors in the little grid down below, I can add in, okay, what's the reason for those? It's an operator problem, or perhaps the materials was bad. There's a question down here.
Yeah. In the early version, we had a problem with bundling and starting productions in bundles. And then when we changed the shift, we had to close the bundle and start up a new bundle. Has that been changed? Because that is really a pain out there.
That's a hard question. Yes, we changed a lot in the J and G bundle class. Whether it solves that specific bundles is several people are either working together or they're working on one person working on multiple jobs, and that class in there.
I know it's shitty, but
Thank you. I think we should talk. I'll give you a private demo afterwards because I'm not sure. It may have been. I'm not sure. So, yes, I need to go a lot faster, especially if we take these little extra demos along the way. So, okay, so let me just, we got to Lars. So Lars gets his own extra interface. Now, that might be just picking up the standard punching machine, and he can do his job registration because Lars often is a Shannon and is doing the same task. Lars also has the possibility of seeing the attendance in here. It's a way that since we can configure this form, we can change some things in here. So it's not available for Shannon, but it's only available for Lars. Now, one of the main things in here is that, Shannon comes up and says, okay, I did something wrong. Help me out because I'm locked in some situation here. And I can just see what's been going on for this, specifically Shannon, if that's a resource, or specifically the punching machines for the whole production floor. So he has a good quantity, and I can update the feedback and just go into the same form here. It wasn't 20, it was 200. Good, we caught that in time. And actually it's completed, so finishing that. Okay. That was going through what Shannon. Hopefully more intuitive. You recognized, I don't know if you recognized the old shop floor control terminal form with all the little funny things on that one. More intuitive, hopefully. Need information, interface options. We added a lot of options on this form, which you can switch on and off as you like. We'll get to that again in setup. Touch enabled. We'll get to that next demo. And faster information, speed, etc. Too much time. Well, he doesn't even have to have time for the last, just walk up to a terminal and do these things on the fly. Good. So it wasn't a plan, but we got into it, and I need to configure specifically the terminals that I'm setting up. I have 10, I have 50 terminals across my various divisions, across the production floor. Some are located within the office, some are located right next to the door, so they're just used for clock in, clock out. All about that with switching to flex time, those kind of more personal. I don't want to see them out on the production floor because they shouldn't be standing there messing with their personal time profiles. They can do that in the canteen, in their breaks. All those kind of things you need to set up and have the option with AX 2012. layout requirements, business unit, etc. I did show you quite a lot. It's okay, I set up a terminal, so it shows the punching machines, it shows the presses, it shows the clock in, clock out, etc. And finally, a little bit, I'll see if I can get to the documents for the machine operator. So let's go in and start defining my terminals. Now, it's in 2 steps. I have a representation of the terminal itself. And I'll just switch into the touchscreen. I did use a barcode scanner, but this will give you an extra option of as well as entering in my number. I love barcodes. It's so simple technology, and it just enters a large number. Barcodes as well, of course, can be used for finding the specific job. So you're printing out a piece of paper representing the jobs being done, divide them out among your staff, and you find those jobs again by using the barcode scanner. So we enter in a barcode field. And I'll define what the configuration is. That was the important one, the one I messed up before. What are configurations? Oh. So a configuration is the total look and feel of a terminal or a set of terminals. It means, for example, the feedback input method, which we changed before. It means, well, I can close the form. What I'm forced to do, how is it looked in terms of fact boxes, do I have a preview? I'll take this one because that was the one we used before. And it's also very much about the actions that's being available within that form. So this means, for example, here, I can completely redefine the layout of the form. What action tabs is in there, button groups, buttons available. And I wasn't quite satisfied with the way that my report feedback was. I want to add an additional button in here called ABC. And I have one that I was missing here. So this is it is fixed set of functions. I hope that the partners, ISVs in here will change it, but it will show you feedback. All the options that we currently make available. Actually, I should just call it feedback. That will make it a little bit more relevant. And I don't want the other ones. I delete it. I add a new action pane. So if I'm up here, I want a special David action pane with some button groups and some buttons that I can access using these function keys and getting to these actions. So you completely redefine it and make sure that the one that stands by the door only has the one relevant information for that specific location of a terminal. Now, as well as that, what the data being shown in there, there is a grid and there was a preview pane. And I want to define those because some of the fields that we put in there is not relevant for you. You're not interested in the description, the job ID. Well, a lot of, actually those might be really needed, but okay. So I can add the very, very many fields that's relevant for this. And of course, if you extend these tables, you can get access to this and show that information specifically. Right now, it's being used very much. I'm having 3 different grids because I want to set up one terminal that has indirect activities that's not applicable to the direct business process, cleaning, etc. Well, I don't want to see the quantity started on cleaning processes. Production is a lot of different things. Project, I want to see the one fields relevant for a project. And I might show them in the preview pane or as a grid. just quickly as well, documents. Automatically it picks up from a variety of sources. That's the item, that's the production order, it's the jobs, it's the routes. Picks up the documents there and brings them in. You can make them specifically required. So you have to read this and you have to verify this, and I can follow that. It's required just once. Once you read it, those security guidelines for the machine, well, you don't have to read them again. That was quick, but oh, sorry about that. I had one specific I wanted to show you. Now, touch. Touch and mouse clicks is somewhat the same. You just don't have a keyboard anymore. Surprise, surprise, you might not have a mouse. And I would really wish I could click up here, but I don't think it will make an impact. But once I click in here, I log in. 1, 2, 3. It's a very secure login I have. I have the option of adding a password to this. Now, touchscreens, they're typically placed up here, and you just walk up to them. So the reason for adding it down here is just, think of it as, don't want your hand to be covering your face. Let's move it down there. It is also about that, well, we do not have a keyboard, and we need to have numerical entries in here, the quantity feedbacks. And I can, of course, enter it in here, both directly what number of jobs I'm starting, when I get the feedback, etc. Yeah. It's a matter of the font size of the whole terminal. So you change it on the client itself.
Will it adjust the font size of everything in the header and everything at the bottom as well? Yeah. It's tools, options, something, you change it. Good. So I just defined it. I went in there. It's a lot of hard work initially, but hopefully there will be relatively limited maintenance once you set all those terminals up. So he can, without any codes, any changes of the individual clients, he can now set up code form change requirements. I did not show workflow, but it is some of the setup he can do as well. Documents, hopefully make sure that the relevant information is available for Shannon, is available for Lars. Now I try to be geeky, and I'm not. I'm an economist by education, so at least I can know my way around the tables. So we have, it's a little bit, the system underneath this is that we have 3 core tables. What's important, of course, is that all the things that Shannon and Lars enters, we keep a store of that. We're not going to change it. But we still need to be able to change it because, it will impact it. But I need to be able to go back to the original. So we have first the raw terminal registrations. Means the JMG term rec, it's not possible to modify the record itself. We will keep a copy of it and keep modifying on these. We keep a copy of those within the stamped journal trans. And then we have transfer registrations. It's again, we are transferring to a lot of different places, which I'll show you a little bit. We keep also the JMG job table. It's primarily 3 list pages, which I'll show. You did not see the production status, the project status, indirect activity status forms, which some of you may love, some of you may hate. We'll see what you do with the new interfaces that we show. So again, it's the same picture as you had before. All the projects, all the productions, and I haven't shown a specific box for indirect activities. They get into the job status, and all the term recs and the stamp trans is what eventually ends up in the journals or gets sent to general ledger and payroll. So I just quickly show
some of these things. Show the raw registrations, some of the calculate and approve functionality which existed before, still exists, and transfer and post transaction. We have very little time, so it will be relatively quick. So just in here, I can see hardcore what has she's been doing. I might access this from multiple places. Here is a family member of me, Shannon, and she is doing a lot of start jobs and clocking in and clocking out. I've been sitting. Yes?
Very quick, we have this now.
Yes.
This is the change.
The underlying there is a lot of it, and it is resembling a little bit. Yeah, but the form itself hasn't changed. Approve and calculate. And now we're getting into the roles of the HR people working back office. So here is my. And what she's been doing today, she's been clocking in and clocking out a few times. In here, I'm just seeing it. So that's kind of understanding that what is getting transferred. Some is getting pushed straight into productions, and others are getting posted somewhere else. Looks pretty much the same. Underneath there is some changes which hopefully will not be too detrimental. At least there is upgrade path going straight from here to the next level. Now the production jobs. This one has changed radically. It was a matter of, well, what did the production jobs form do? It was just a matter of filtering in on the jobs that was available. It was a little bit a question of should we, discontinue this one entirely because we have the edit job list now, which gives us more options. This was still thought of as more of a I'm making the larger plans for all the production jobs going forward, going backwards, including more of the payroll, more of the white collar, not last perhaps anymore. I'm sorry, I have to go really fast. So I'll just show some of what we did today. I think I got around to all of these things. I did not show workflow, but the workflow is enabled either for a specific terminal registration, sorry, not a terminal registration, a job registration. It's the one that you can change. And you can change stuff for the whole day. So we used to have an approval functionality. We still have, if you want that option, but you can also set up specifically a workflow for the whole days of work. And let's say there is too much non-working minutes, hours in that day, then you get it sent to someone within the workflow engine. A lot of these things, this is just a different way we enhanced it. There was a lot of things that I didn't show you, which we made an investment in. Unfortunately, I wanted to show a little bit more about the module, but that's kind of more on the table class level restructuring. Workflow reports is not really interested for, SSS reports is not really interesting for you. It's the same reports on a different framework. Enterprise portal, we do have the option of having more of a white collar scenario, clocking in, clocking out. You can both do that in the rich client as well as on enterprise portal. Yeah, and features. Not all of them you wanted, and some of them which you hopefully liked. I talked about the business processes, enhancements, better user experience, and ready for ISV uptake. ISV uptake is really, of course, important for us. And you can say one of the main reasons why we're doing this splitting up and moving it around is that time and attendance can be used for other things and production scenarios. Too bad I showed you only production scenarios, but it is a matter of clocking in, clocking out, doing time registrations, having all the special pay agreements, profiles, when is people working where, etc. And it's definitely not being used just in production. Now, the better user experience. With this release, we finally actually went out and left our white tower and asked some Shannons and Larses. Thank you for that. And they come back with some candid feedback. I just took the positive here because it's good. We responded to the candid feedback, and at the end of this, we start getting some very, very positive feedback. They really like the new interface. So just easier to learn. I'm getting kind of hooked on this. Concepts and definition, time and attendance, that's more of it used to be the shop floor control 1 and 2. There is also a number of other licenses, and just tell a little bit about that. The number 3 was payroll integration. It hasn't changed. We haven't touched the payroll creation machine as such, so those things should work. There is some underlying structures around it. We shuffled a little bit around. The enterprise portal license was abandoned, and if you have time and attendance, you will get all that functionality for free. I'll tell a little bit about what's next. Unfortunately, we are getting late, and there's not much, but Thursday we'll have 3 sessions. 2 sessions on process manufacturing and 1 on projects. And that leaves questions. And I just say, I really encourage you, give me the feedback. There's not much to change now, other than if there are bugs here and there. But we still need your feedback in order to progress forward. And just give the fantastic feedback we're getting from the TAP customers. It is amazing to be sitting down with Shannon and Lars, who are thinking, this computer concept, I heard about it, but I'm not really familiar with it. It kind of have you change your perception. So with that, there I have microphones. You already ask everything. Yeah, there's a question here.
There's a mic here.
On the attachments, the documents, are those ever heading out to SharePoint where they can be revision controlled? Because there's a lot of manufacturing documents that really require revisioning.
Well, the document I did show you was a URL. We do not have the full SharePoint saving, but it is just a URL to a file located anywhere. So
put it out on SharePoint.
Yes, and reference it there. So yeah. Well, yes.
So that's not a document link, you're saying?
The one I showed you was a URL.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's a link. It's a link to anything, a document, a website.
But it's not stored in document, you're saying?
Well, you actually store document. URL is, I think, it's a new concept that you get in there. It's a note where it's type of URL. You just enter in ... bing.com, and once you open that link, you will get whatever associated Word, PDF. In this case, it was a web browser. So, yeah.
Question regarding the touchscreen, David.
Yes.
There was a 1, 2, 3 up to 9. Once we're done with the production, we need to go feedback, and on the feedback we have something called picking list registration. So on the picking list registration, usually we have the quantity defaulted, but in some occasion we want to select a serial number or a lot number. How are we going to do that if we have only 1 up to 9 to do that, and we have a serial number which is ABC 1, 2, 3?
You don't? Yes, there is the option of opening it up, and it has not been touch enabled, that the picking list registration form. So it will most likely require a mouse. Or a barcode, yeah. Serial number, yeah, you can.
Yes, it's actually now you can, in the picking you can actually enter a barcode.
Yes.
And like a serial number or a batch number to pick.
Yeah. Okay. So question here? Do we have more mics? It's such a small room. We can hear each other, but it's just for the recording.
Yeah, I think you said that the whole shop floor reporting is not compatible with Lean or Kanban. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? And how would you report Kanban production then? Is it a different set of screens?
Yes, well, Kanban production, we presented that yesterday. It has own screens for scheduling and own screens for reporting jobs. The reason why it's not integrated is that we had it on our list, but we couldn't make it for this release. Is basically coming up with a unified job concept for both. That's something on our list for a future release. Of course, not decided yet if we were really going to do it and when. But that's the main reason that we couldn't basically do this unified job concept in one release.
Okay, with that, thank you very much. You'll get an email this evening and hopefully you'll fill it out. I personally love my Kinect, so have fun playing around with that. It slims you down and everything. Yes, please give me candid feedback. Yes, I know I speak with an accent and all that. I heard that before, but what I can do better for the next presentation. Thank you very much.